Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Ivan Vincent here for Truth Is, and I just wanted to do another video. I was literally supposed to close on my condo here today, and the ladies' financing got delayed. So, excuse me a little bit here. Ladies' financing got delayed, and it will be like another week or two before I get to leave, unfortunately. Hopefully it'll be a week and not 2 weeks. But anyway, I wanted to go over this video, really something, what has happened to our country, because I listened to some of the liberals come on and they talk, and their take on things is so twisted, and their ideas of democracy, socialism, and communism are really distorted. They don't understand, and that's why this episode 19 of Truth Is, I'm going to name it Communism, Socialism, and Democrats, okay? And I'll get into it right after the introduction. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and tonight I really want to have a serious discussion, and I don't want this just to be aimed at Republicans, because I know most of you already know, and I've discussed much of this on True Social with many of you about understanding the difference between the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution. And a lot of people still have this notion that when the Constitution was written, it somehow annulled the Declaration of Independence, and that's really not how it worked. When the Declaration of Independence was written by the Founding Fathers, they had full knowledge that they were going to write the Constitution. Therefore, the Constitution didn't eradicate or annul the Declaration of Independence. The Declaration of Independence was literally the heart of the Constitution. And if you doubt what I'm saying, go to any state and look at their Bill of Rights. Bill of Rights is what? A Constitution. Our Constitution, the first 10 amendments, were called the Bill of Rights. So the Bill of Rights is a Constitution, okay? But when you go to any state and look at their Bill of Rights, what does it start off with? Not with the preamble to the Constitution, but the preamble to the Declaration of Independence, part of it. The part that says that all men are created equal and endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights, which means they cannot be removed, they can't be taken away, you can't give them away. They are yours, unremovable, okay? They cannot remove your rights no matter how many pieces of paper they sign, and the only way they will in this country is if you allow it to happen. If you say, yeah, I consent to that, because right there in the Declaration of Independence, it says that they operate by your consent. And it's only that you allow them to do what they do. You do not. They do not. They're not your rulers. They're your representatives. And when they have begun to strip away the chains of the Constitution, which kept them in place, which bound them, it is literally like binding a beast, a government, and that's the way the Founding Fathers looked at it. They looked at government as dangerous. Now let's go back in history, because this is where a lot of Democrats are sadly mistaken about this whole notion of democracy, okay? Democracy existed in the BCs. That's how long it's been around. It was a cult then, it's a cult now, okay? You can take that as an insult. I really don't care. Okay? First, it started out in Greece. It destroyed Greece, literally, because every single leader that ever lived of Greece was either thrown out or killed by their predecessor. The same thing happened again, but let me get into how that happened. Okay, there was a Greek aristocrat whose name was Solon. Solon believed that the rights should be in the constitution, or the laws should be written to control the government. Does that sound familiar? Just like ours, right? That the laws were written to control the government, not the people, the government, okay? And that the Declaration of Independence declared our rights were God-given, inalienable. It didn't go into detail of describing what those were. And neither does the Constitution. That's what I keep trying to tell people. Where does it describe your rights in the Constitution? Number 1, First Amendment, it says, Congress shall make no laws. It says that you have the right to do these certain things, like, they shall not make any laws concerning. So it's not really saying that your right is this. It's saying that the government can't make any laws to interfere in that. And then you go to the second one in the Second Amendment. What does it say? It doesn't say Johnny can have an AK, Johnny can have this, Johnny can have... It doesn't describe your rights because your rights were already granted, inalienable. Okay? Then you look at the Ninth Amendment. What does it say? It says that any rights that are not described in the Constitution are the people's. They're your rights. Number 10 says that any rights not described in the Constitution go back to the states and the people. But 9 says to the people. Now see, here's the difference. It's because if a state is following the Constitution, then you're supposed to side with the state. If the federal government is siding with the Constitution, you're supposed to side with the government. So that's where that sort of line is drawn between the 10th and the 9th Amendment, that you literally have to abide by the Constitution. If you live in the United States of America, it's the supreme law of the land, right? But where everybody's wrong about is it didn't annul the Declaration of Independence. It didn't say your rights could be taken away. Your rights cannot be taken away at all, period, no matter how many pieces of paper they sign. So don't let them deceive you into thinking that. It's a deception, you see? They can't take them away. And if they try, when they start the long train of abuses, we all know this, a long train of abuses and usurpations. Would you like me to read it to you? Because I can read it to you real quick, because here's the thing, I don't want there to be any misunderstandings with any Democrats here, because they're so wrong about everything they believe about democracy, because democracy destroys civilizations. We know this for a fact from history. Democracy doesn't do anything. And again, like some of the founding fathers said, Thomas Jefferson said, democracy is when 51% of the people take away the rights of the other 49%. We know that for a fact that freedom, liberty is individual liberty. It means a mob of people can't decide what's going to happen to me. A mob of people can't decide that Trump's a bad president and keep trying to assassinate him, you see? Because that's what the Democrats are doing. And don't lie, we know you're behind it. We know the Democrats are behind all this. And anybody who's in denial about that, and then you try to shove the man down, the man never did anything to you. The man never did anything but try to help this country. He was the only president who ever got into office and kept his word and tried to... And everybody said, well, he didn't build the wall and make Mexico pay for it because Mexico refused to pay for it. But no, that didn't. See, you're missing another whole aspect of that, because he told Mexico, you put these border agents on the wall, and he said, you let people in, we're going to put a tariff on you. And then and we're going to stop giving you, they put 30,000 troops right on the border. They put them, y'all don't understand. So they paid for it in a different way, because they sort of like guarded that side of the wall, you see. So in a way, they did pay for it. But unfortunately, y'all didn't let him finish it. And between you, the Democrats, and I hope every Democrat watches this, because I really want y'all to pay attention to history here, because I want you to wake up to the reality of what democracy was. Democracy, these secret orders would start in Greece, and these people would get together and they'd be whispering about the ruler and say, oh, he's bad, he's done this. What did they just do to Joe Biden? It's literally the same thing. They removed him from power without a single vote. They removed him from his presidential run without a single vote. They stole him and gave him to Kamala. Now we got her on tape saying that she's going to seize people's businesses. That's literally communist. That's
snatch their patent so that we will take over. And yes, we can do that. Yes, we can do that. Yes, we can do that. It's the question is, do you have the will to do it? I have the will to do it.
And so when people think I'm just calling Kamala a communist because I want to, no, I'm calling her a communist because she is a communist. And do you really want that in this country? Do you want to stand in line for toilet paper? And do you want to stand in line for a loaf of bread? And believe me, when you start fixing prices, this is what happens. You pay $2. Like, let's just say you pay $2 for every ear of corn, or every ear of corn. It's not really that much, but I'm just making an example. You pay $2 for every ear of corn that you raise to raise it. It costs you in, fertilizer and plowing and watering, and you pay $2 per ear of corn, and then Kamala Harris says, well, we're only going to pay you $1 per ear of corn. You understand that you would go broke. You can't afford to pay for everyone else's corn. That's why that doesn't work. That's why the shelves will start to empty, and then you'll be standing in line for toilet paper even. And then I heard some horror stories about that. The wood paper, the paper has wood chips and stuff in it, and it's not good. I mean, they can't afford to make nice stuff. And do you think they're really gonna pay you to sit at home? They're gonna make you work. They're gonna enslave you. And if you don't follow orders, you're done. They're gonna take you out. That's the whole point that you all don't understand. And it's not. This is not hyperbole. I'm not just saying these things. This has happened. They've killed over 100 million people with communism and socialism. It's not a joke. It's not funny. And your idea that you think that somehow it's never been tried and nobody ever did it the right way is wrong. And I'm gonna show you if I can show you a clip, or I'll show you at least the video or the picture here. But I'm gonna read something to you, okay? But when a long train of abuses and usurpations pursuing invariably the same object evinces a design to reduce them under absolute despotism, it is their right, it is their duty to throw off such a government and to provide new safeguards for their future security. New guards, they say new guards, but you understand that we don't have to do what they say. We can take them out of power just from what they've done already, because they violated every amendment of the original Bill of Rights already. Now let's get back to what I was talking about. When you go to every state and read their Bill of Rights, it says every man, it says that all men are created equal, and that's in the Declaration of Independence right here. All men are created equal and are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Now, let's talk about this that to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. They get their rights to govern from us, not the other way around. They don't tell us we can't own guns. They don't tell us we can't do this or we can't do that, because that's specifically you go back to either the Second or you go to the Ninth Amendment. And either one, they would be in violation. And then let's look at Article 6, the Supremacy Clause. It states that the Constitution is the supreme law of this land. They can't make other rights outside of what is already written. And believe me, when we get to looking at all the amendments past the original 10, the Bill of Rights, how many of those should have been pulled out? If they would have done judicial review the proper way, how many of those laws would have been taken and stripped away and been repealed? And I'm not talking about the ones that, because honestly, you start to look at the 16th Amendment, or was it the 15th, that gave blacks freedom? They should have never been enslaved. I never understood where the founding fathers went with that whole thing, because I guess it was something that they were already in, so they never separated those two things. But the truth is that the Constitution was written in a way that's genius, because it grants us that we are all equal. We are all equal and granted with unalienable rights. That includes whites, blacks, Indians, Native American. I'm Native American. Just so you know, I'm a mutt. I'm a mix of all kinds of stuff. You can't tell. I'm Native American, Hebrew, Egyptian, Chinese, and white. So I've got all kinds of stuff. Anyway, that doesn't matter, because that's not really. That's not a predicator of what you are in your life, what you do or how you try to help people. Because I've helped people my whole life, and you don't really know me. You've heard my videos. I don't really try to talk to you all on a personal level, and I get on here and I rant and I spew stuff, and sometimes I get aggravated, and the things I say them because they're true. I don't say them to make someone feel bad or because look, this whole thing about hate, and we don't hate. The Republicans don't hate. Okay, that's not true. It's false. And let me explain a couple of instances here. For one, I've had family who were Democrats and who I've lost in the last. My wife was a Democrat. Okay, so did I hate her? Did I marry her and stay married 20 years because I hate Democrats? No. And this is the problem they have, okay? And I'm going to explain this with this little map. I'm going to put this little map up here, because when you start to look at this map, and you look and you see that anarchy is at 0, and as you go towards total government domination to 100%, that's where your communism, that's where socialism, fascism, communism, all that is there. Okay, go back down to 0, anarchy. That's where there's no laws, and all these people, anarchists. I'll be honest with you, I've talked to some of them, and I think they still miss the point that they think they try to see the goodness in people, and the strength through peace thing comes in there, because we really need a small amount of government. We have to have enough that says that if someone tries to take power, or someone tries to hurt you, or someone tries to break the law, or kill someone, or rape someone, or do, that they're going to be held accountable. So there has to be some small amount of government, because if there's not, you've got anarchy, you got chaos. You have to have that certain amount. And I always said, like when I make this scale, that you got your from 1 to 25%. And to be honest with you, I don't think the government should ever even get up to 25%. And why democracy? I know it's further up, because what did the founding father Thomas Jefferson said? He said, democracy is when 51% of the people vote to take away the rights of the other 49. See, 51%, that's the pivot point. That's the point at which you go from the people having individual liberty to a communistic mob rule government. And that's what mob rule is. Make no mistake about it. When they start trying to silence you, they won't let you speak. They try to assassinate your leaders. They do all this crazy stuff. That's when you're getting towards communism, right? And so when you look at the chart here, as you go down, and the reason I put the one in sideways is because the European version of the left and right, because in Europe, the right wing is the Nazis, right? That's and not us. See, that's where the Democrats are confused. Down here, when you sit there and try to tell a Republican that they're far right, well, right of minimal government. Right of minimal government is zero government. That's anarchy. That doesn't make sense because Nazis and fascism always tend to be towards the 100% side of the government, not zero, not 1 to 25%. They're nearly 100% control government. That's where communism, socialism, all of them, they're the same thing. They're the same thing with a different name. They're just relabeled and canned different to sell you the same propaganda and bullshit. And I'm not going to pull any punches about that. It's bullshit. Because what does a socialist do? They lie to you and tell you that you on the means of production, yet you're standing in line. Look at Venezuela. They ate their pets. Huh? Then you're lying about it up here because I live in Ohio. I'm right down. I'm a little bit further away from there. But it's the point. We know what's happening. We saw the video of the cop, with the lady. He made her show her teeth and everything. So you're lying. You're lying. And then I saw the other picture of the guy carrying the geese from the park. So you're lying about all that, and that's okay. Y'all get caught up in your lies, and you keep lying. But you still got to understand at this point that you're the communists. You're the ones who are trying to seize control, and you're going to try to put Kamala Harris, who is a would-be dictator. She is. And you think Donald Trump's a dictator? No, he's down here at this end. He's down here at this end between that 1 to 25% government. And he's trying to shrink government. So how the hell do you get that he's a damn Nazi? Huh? How do you get that he's Hitler? Look at your fascist piece of shit, Joe Biden, trying to tell us all these bad. I know so many good people who are Republicans and good, never worked their whole lives and gave people the shirt off their back. And I've known Democrats who did the same thing. I know Democrats who live in the country who go out and hunt for deer and during deer season because they use that deer meat to live off of. You understand that your ignorance is going to screw everybody up because you can't take over this country. You're not going to do it. I'm telling you right now that there's going to be a lot of people who are going to stop you. So you try to put her in power, you're going to start something that you're not going to be able to finish. And I'm going to tell you, and I'm not saying that it's a threat. Look, I'm disabled. I'm just telling you. Everything I hear, everything I see, everything I saw, known, that's not going to end well for anyone. And that's what you really want. The problem with you here is now you say we're the violent ones. You burnt down cities. You killed people. Huh? You killed that police officer with David Dorn. You killed that guy who was a Trump supporter, that old black guy. You killed him too. You raided buildings, looted buildings. You burned buildings. You burned whole cities down. And what did we do? The cops trapped the people in, so you don't know shit about January 6th either. Let me tell you something. I've seen all the footage. Those people went in, the cops trapped them in. They wouldn't let them back out. Then they started shooting them with concussion grenades. They killed Benjamin Phillips and Kevin Greason. You'll never hear that part of the story. Then they got Rosalind Boylan in the tunnel and beat her to death. They beat her to death. A lady Capitol police officer beat her with a club until she died. Well, she died later in the hospital. So did Kevin Greason and Benjamin Phillips. They both died in the hospital later, but they were both hit by concussion grenades. But yet they're going to sit and lie about there being Capitol police officers killed, and then they shot Ashley Babbitt. And then people started getting hit with concussion grenades, and then they got mad. Maybe that's when they got mad. But you also are ignoring the fact that there were known Antifa members. Jonathan Sullivan, for one, inside of the White House, or the Capitol building, sorry. Inside of the Capitol building. He was filming everything. Is he the one who filmed Ashley getting shot? You almost think they set her up, don't you? Don't it seem like they set her up? Huh? Why were you all lying about that whole thing? The whole reason that people were protesting because they didn't agree with they think the election was cheated. A lot of people do. Okay, we still do. We know it was. It's not a question of if. We know it was. Okay. Now all these people disagree, but here's where you're off again. Is when they were in Congress that day to certify the votes, there was a signed objection from Paul Gosar, signed by Ted Cruz, which had Mike Pence done his job, which he's a traitor, but he's so literally a traitor. He should be facing trial. He should be looking at a jury. That he should not have certified those votes from Arizona, especially when there was a signed objection, which was his right at that point to say, okay, no, we need to go back. You know why they didn't? Because it would have started the whole investigation into elections again. It would have started investigations, and people don't get that there was too many things that happened in that election. You had mules, you had mail-in ballots, you had dead people voting, you had everything happened in that election. You know, computers switching numbers. Yeah, don't you know, you can lie all you want, but we got, who did we put in jail? Ruby, what was her name? Ruby. And then you had Brenda Snipes, she had to resign, I think, in Florida. So you're going to act like nothing happened? There was nothing unseemly about the whole thing? Yeah, you're lying. You're lying. They were going to start investigations. If they would have took that objection, but instead they fomented this whole January 6th for insurrection. See, and it served more than one purpose, and whether you realize this or not. Here's the purposes that served. First, it stopped the ejection because right after they took Mike Pence and hit him away, they gabbled out the case and shut that whole fucking thing down. They shut down the objection so that they wouldn't go back to Arizona and look at the damn, investigate their elections. That's why, because they knew they would get caught. Then they take Mike Pence and hide. Then they take all those people and they start arresting them. What does that do? It creates fear in people so that you make these people afraid to come back and do this again. Now I think a lot of people are half afraid to go to Washington, D.C. and to protest again because of fear of being arrested. Just for being there. Little old ladies, you know. And again, let's go back again. You had Ray Epps there. He was an FBI asset. I've got his page from Rockin' R Farms, which was his website for his business, when he was still running the website, where he was liking one of Hillary Clinton's posts after her election failure in 2016. And he's liking her. Oh, she said something about the girls and y'all be, stand up and whatever. And he's liking that shit. So yeah, and I'm gonna watch my mouth here. I'm trying to keep it cleaner. But I get aggravated, and the truth is like right there in front of you all. We're not hating on you because you're gay. I had an uncle who was gay. I loved my uncle my whole fucking life. He died. He was he was like head of the Native American Tribal Council in Kentucky. He ran the Unity of Lights Unity Conference, Circle of Light Unity Conference is what it was called. So he was a elder or something, whatever it was. He used to run powwows and everything. So I've been to a powwow. Hence one of my usernames used to be Red Hawk. That was my. And there's another reason behind that, but I'm gonna tell you something. I'm not here to hate anyone. I have family of every race and nationality, every race. I've got cousins who are married to Indian men. I have cousins who are married to black men. I have nieces and nephews who are black. I don't care what race you are. It does not matter. I have lived in this country for my almost 60 years and lived all over the United States. I've lived in Houston, Texas, Savannah, Georgia, Memphis, Tennessee. I stayed in St. Louis, Missouri. I've lived in Ohio for almost 20 years now, or over 20 years, sorry. I moved here in 2000, 24 years. I was born in Louisville, Kentucky. Again, Houston, Texas, Savannah, Georgia, Memphis, Tennessee. I've been around, you know. And I'm going to be honest with you. In all that time, I met one truly racist guy in Georgia. Of all states, in Georgia. The one that's like got all the problems, right? In Georgia in 1980. That was the last time I met. And he said his father he was just an idiot in the neighborhood to me. I didn't know him and he wasn't my friend. I just knew of him and I talked to him a couple times and when I found out stuff, I wasn't really keen to be friends with him, but he told me his dad was in the KKK, whatever. Some of my best friends growing up, Taryn Kelly Payne, Ernie Too Good, Brian Ice. I got some really good friends who are black, you know, so that doesn't even matter. I don't care about you. I don't even look at the race of people. If I'm friends with somebody, I'm friends with them. The race doesn't matter. One of my good friends right now, Wyatt Daly, you know, he's a good guy too. I don't look at your race. That doesn't matter. I'm not racist because I support Donald Trump. I support Trump because he believes in freedom, individual liberty. He believes in the things he says. And if you go back to when he was younger, 30 years ago, and watch some of the tapes, he's saying the exact same thing. He ain't the one who's flip-flopping. You are, first off, because all of you all loved Trump when he was running all those TV shows. And now see, that's where I was different because I thought he was arrogant when I used to watch, but over time, you know, I was a boss at a company too, and I kind of like learned to appreciate where he was coming from because, you know, I had employees that did some, you know, really stupid things, and I had to fire them, you know, and not something that I found pleasure in doing. And sometimes you just, somebody is really bad. You probably could, depending on how bad they are, but taking everything from everybody else is not the answer, and you can't survive that way. Again, let's go back to what I was talking about with socialism and democracy and democratic socialism. When the Mayflower came over here, okay, and again, if you don't know this story, Rush Limbaugh tells it better than me. If you don't like Rush, whatever, you can go to YouTube, watch a video called The True Story of Thanksgiving, or The Real Story of Thanksgiving. It's one or the other. And it's about a half an hour. If you find the right one, it's a half an hour long. But he tells the whole story. And what happens, they came over, a lot of people died on the way. People got sick, people died. They started farming as much as they could. And then everybody got an equal share because the Mayflower Compact said, you get a share, you get a share, you get a share. Everybody got the same share, no matter how much they worked. So if they didn't work, there was somebody else over there working to grow their corn, and they got some of it for sitting there. And so it was like that. And it got to the point where the people who were doing all the work said, you know what, we're going to sit here too. Finally, what William Bradford did was he tore up the Mayflower Compact, and he said, look, here's what we're going to do. You get a lot of land, you get a lot of land, you get a lot of land, and whatever you grow and you produce, you benefit, it's yours. You sell it, you make the money, it's yours. It became profitable. So then people from Europe started coming up. Oh, they saw a chance to become wealthy. They saw a chance to prosper. You see, you're missing the whole point. And all of y'all talk all this crap about patriarchy. Patriarchy, my ass. There's no such thing as a patriarchy. Just because men defended women through history doesn't mean that there's this great conspiracy of men to destroy women. It's a load of feminist crap. And let me tell you something. This is why all of you women are freaking single now. You cat ladies, I don't care what you think of me. I really don't. You cannot take what belongs to a man that he worked for his whole life because the law is set up screwed up. And you think what LBJ did was right? You know why he did it? Because he's a Democrat. He was a Democrat. And there was a reason why he did, because he was a racist piece of shit. And what he saw was the Democrats filibustered for 75 days. They filibustered, the longest filibuster in history. Look this up. It was the longest filibuster in history. They filibustered the Equal Rights Amendment that the Republicans passed to allow. And I heard somebody trying to say, oh, well, LBJ signed the Equal Rights Amendment. He only signed it after the Democrats filibustered it for 75 days. And then, as revenge that the Republicans passed it, he said, okay, I'm going to take the Great Society programs and I'm going to tweak them a little bit. You know what? Here, lady, I'm going to give you more money. You kick your husband out of the house. Here, I'm going to get you. Not realize what you did? You fell for it. Sucker, you sold your whole freaking future and your life and your kids' lives down the drain for a few extra dollars, when the fact of the matter is that this country would have got built up. If we would have said, screw that, no, we don't want that. If we would have said, hey, let's take all this money and build businesses, let's build us a prosperous future, that your kids would have had 10 times more. And not only that, the way they've done with the money, you don't even understand that either. The money was produced by a corrupt banking system. The same people own the banking system. Who passed it? And he felt bad afterwards. Woodrow Wilson, he was a Democrat. He passed. Who passed the New Deal? A Democrat. Franklin Delano Roosevelt. And then LBJ screwed it up even worse. He signed it. He screwed it up even worse. To screw the American families up. And you know what? It didn't just hurt black, poor Americans. It hurt white. Believe me, I know. Because I was a white, poor kid. I lived next door to the ghetto when I was a kid. I lived next door to the projects. And I was poorer than the kids who lived in the projects. Yeah. There was nights we went to bed without dinner. You always had a roof over your head. If we didn't pay our rent, or if we didn't pay our electric, we might freeze to death. So we had to choose between food. So you're sitting there talking about, I could play the victim card more than any of you. You don't know nothing. And I'll tell you something else. Something happened to me too. That somebody stole something from me, but I'm not going to get into that in my videos here. And they made a fortune. But I'm not, you know what? One day it's going to come out. The truth's going to come out. And when you understand that there's never been anything near privilege in my life, and I've never seen justice, you social justice warriors, you're full of shit. You don't know nothing. First off, this country was meant to be a republic, a constitutional republic. Read Article 4, Section 4. What does it say? It says this government shall guarantee to every state a republican form of government, and then that it shall defend them from invasion. This government right now has violated every single Bill of Rights, every amendment of the Constitution. And you think Donald Trump's a danger? You ought to keep trying to assassinate him. You tried to make up laws, put him in jail. Michael Cohen signed all that. We have documents that he signed all of that stuff. He did it all. And he made up the bullshit that he talked to Trump and told him because he was talking to Trump about something else. If you listen to that call, did any of you listen to it? No, but you jumped to conclusions because the news told you. Because who owns the news? The dictators own it. Who's the dictators? You think you know something about a dictator? You know when a dictator takes over a country, what they do, the first thing is they seize the media. Who owns the media? Does the media talk great about Donald Trump? No, they don't. So you're lying to yourself. You're lying to yourself. The mainstream media owns you. They own you. They are the communists, and they're working for the communists. Yeah? You think it's just Joe Biden? the CCP. Who do you think really works for Russia? Huh? Who really works for Russia? Did you know that Hillary Clinton was supported by Russia in 2016? Surprise. It's in the Mueller report. Footnote number 347. It says it right there. That the Russians actually expressed strong support for candidate Hillary Clinton, not Donald Trump. They didn't help him try to win in 2016, so the whole narrative was bullshit to begin with. He actually won fair and square. You don't like that idea, do you? Then your candidate started all this stuff. And who else was involved? Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton running a shadow presidency. And I've got tapes of that too. People talking and slipping up and saying Obama was in control.
Like you had a third term. And I used to say, you know what, if I could make an arrangement where I had a stand-in, a front man or front woman, and they had an earpiece in, and I was just in my basement in my sweats, looking through the stuff, and then I could sort of deliver the lines, but somebody else was doing all the talking and ceremony.
President Obama himself said he was going to stay in Washington until his daughter graduated. I think we ought to pitch in and let him go someplace else, because he's only there for one purpose and one purpose only, and that is to run a shadow government that is going to totally upset the new agenda. It just doesn't make sense. And people sit back and they say, my gosh, why can't you guys get this done? I'm saying, we've got a new CEO, we've got some new heads in the different departments, but the same people are there, and they don't believe that the new owners or the new managers should be running the ship.
Imminently, more imminently even, to address the full Obama agenda of building back better and I love to say building back better.
So today, as you all saw just an hour or so ago, President Obama announced that, President Biden.
3 people, and plus Barack Obama said it himself out of his own mouth. He wanted the earpiece so he could sit in somebody's ear and tell them what to do. 4 people saying the same thing, and here this country went to hell. We got Joe Biden on tape saying that he could not pull out of Afghanistan without it taking him a year. Then he turned around and pulled out like he did.
The order goes out from I'm President of the United States. I issue an order. End the war today. Begin to withdraw all American troops. It will take a year to get the American troops out. Do you hear me now? That's the truth. It will take a year to get them physically out. Now, if you leave all the equipment behind, you might be able to do it in 7 months. And you leave those billions of dollars of weapons behind, I promise they're going to be used against your grandchild and mine.
He had already said the exact opposite and then did it. Why? So he could arm a Muslim president's people. Barack Obama. Those are his people. The Muslims are his people. He told you right in your face. Those people, those who slander Islam. Here, you want me to read that to you here? Slander. The future must not belong to those who slander the Prophet. I will stand with the Muslims should the political wind shift in an ugly direction. When Hillary lost, that was the ugly direction he was talking about. So when Hillary lost, day one, they had the news, who they control because they're the communists, telling you that they were going to start impeachment on him. Takes off after half an hour. But, you know, I don't want anyone to be enslaved. I don't want people to be enslaved. I don't want you to lose your freedom. I don't care if you're gay. I don't care if you pierce your lips or pierce your face up. I don't think you look good like that. I don't think you should wear all that, you know, look like you fell into a tackle box face first. I don't think you should mark up your body like that. I think God made you the way you are, a beautiful person the way you are. And you destroying what God created, and then to Do you understand what the globalists want? Just to shift back subjects here a little bit. The globalists are the ones at the top of the communist chain, okay? They're the ones who own the media. They're the ones who own Barack Obama. They own Hillary Clinton. They own all of them, and they own you, okay? They own the bank. See, they have the money too. They keep printing that money. Again, I explained this in my last video about money. You can't just keep printing money without making something of value to back it up. You can't just make money. I don't know where these dum-dums think that you could just print money and it's worth something. If that was the case, I could go out and sell Monopoly money out of my game board up there. You know, money is only worth something because we do the work behind it to give it the value. Or we offer a product or a service. Like gold or silver, or we do plumbing in your house, or fix your dishwasher, or fix your refrigerator, or whatever we do. Big shout out to Dan Bongino, because I already talking about that. But you can't just and I try to be reasonable. I really do. I try to be reasonable, and I get on here, and some of these liberals get really nasty, and I get pissed off. And I'll be honest with you, I light into them. I've had, you wouldn't believe the hundreds and maybe thousands that have blocked me because they don't like the truth, and I know a lot of it, And that's the thing. You can't argue with someone about history who knows history. And you sitting there telling us that we're the dictators, you're the dictators. Okay, first you're trying to silence our speech. You're trying to kill our leader. You're trying to take our guns, which keep us free, because guns weren't granted to us, and even by the Constitution. So that's the first mistake that people make. The Constitution. Look what Thomas Jefferson also said. He said, and here I'll put this up here too, because I know you won't understand unless I explain it completely. And so, the chains of the government. Chains. It says the two enemies of the people are criminals and the governments. So let us tie down the second with the chains of the Constitution, so that the second does not become a legalized version of the first. Legalized criminals. Exactly what they're doing. And they're not going to find themselves guilty when they're doing something wrong. If they're trying to kill Trump, they're not going to investigate themselves. If they're stealing our money and giving it to the Ukraine, they're not going to investigate themselves. If they're stealing elections, they're not going to investigate themselves. So when are you going to get it through your head, huh? Do you really want to live in a communist country? Do you think that this will end well for you? Because if you do, you're stupid. You're fucking stupid. You want to be enslaved? You want to be in chains? Because that's where you're heading for. And do you really think they care if you can wear your nose rings and your tattoos and you can date Barney instead of Betty? You think they care? They don't care about any of that. They care about control, and they care about power. And when they take it off from you, you're going to be nothing to them. And you will be expendable. You'll all be expendable. And you think I'm just saying these things? No, I am not making them up. This is fact. This is what happened throughout history. Governments are corrupt. And when you allow them to do whatever they want unchecked, that's what they're doing. Judicial review went out the window. The government, and you know when I knew? I'll tell you when I knew it was gone. Whenever Ken Starr investigated Bill Clinton to impeach him, that's what an investigation is. That's what a special counsel does, is they investigate you to impeach you. They don't investigate you to indict you on crimes, which is the bullshit story you tried to make up about Trump. Oh, well, they investigated, but they couldn't do nothing because they couldn't indict him. That's not what they do. They investigate you and they create recommendations based on crimes that they find. They found 11 11 recommendations to indict Bill Clinton. And what the fuck did they do? They indicted him over Monica Lewinsky, of all things. Forget Whitewater, Travelgate, Chinagate, Filegate, everything else. Vince Foster. How many people have they killed? How many people are in power that they put there? Pelosi's been around since then. All of them. Schumer, all of them were there. You think these are good people? Keep deceiving yourselves. You all marched on Washington, D.C. for 60 years talking about government corruption, and now you think it was all Donald Trump the whole time? Wake the fuck up! You're gonna be in a communist country if you don't get the fuck out of this, and you think it's gonna end well? It's not. It's not, and you'll be lucky if you survive. And if you do, you'll be in chains. Put that in the bank, because that's where your democracy ends. Democracies destroy civilizations. They have since the beginning of time. Wake up, Democrat.